Welcome everybody to another ONYXCON review of a movie. I am Joseph R. Wheeler III, artist, founder, and president of the ONYXCON Foundation, and today is all about JIMI All is by My Side. This was a film that came out quite a while ago, and unfortunately, but then maybe it was fortunate after I saw it to not rush and see it, to see it when I could.
What's the name again, mate?
Jimi Hendrix.
So this movie stars the legend from ATL, Andre 3000. Now, me being from Atlanta, I had to see this. And when I saw that it was recently available on Tubi for free, I said, oh yeah, let me go ahead and watch this thing and see what I missed. And I heard all kind of bad reviews. I heard a couple of good things, but for the most part, I kept hearing people saying two main things. They said the movie did not feature any actual music from Jimi Hendrix in it. I said, damn, how can you do a biopic and not have a man's music? He's a musician, he's a legend. Then the other thing would be, they say that a lot of folks had issues with just the way the portrayal was and things of that nature, but I didn't understand what they were saying until I saw it. Now, let me say this, first and foremost, and I'm totally biased because I'm an Outkast fan, and of being an Outkast fan, I'm mostly an Andre 3000 fan. Shout out to Big Boy too, but I'm just all around ATLian. And also being an actor myself, a writer myself, a producer, I've directed, I've done many of the parts of what it is to make a film. Yes, on an independent level, but I've also been on tons of Hollywood sets. And I'm gonna tell you, Andre acted his ass off. He did the work, in my opinion. The problem is, what was the work and for whose agenda? And that's the sad outcome of this movie that made it a failure to me. It's not that the wardrobe wasn't perfect. It's not that the way they depicted the times of the late 60s weren't perfect enough for to be believable and everything. It's when the work of this man here, Ridley, who wrote and produced it, who also did 12 Years a Slave. Yeah. Once I realized that was who was behind it, and to realize that this person having the kind of power they have and obvious ego from having such an acclaim in Hollywood could do pretty much anything they want to do. It's kind of that kind of power when you get an Oscar and things in the biz. And I think all the powers that be just allowed this to run amok because they didn't have the power to get clearance for the actual music. So they decided to make it a hodgepodge of a messy lifestyle instead of really telling the truth about who this man was to his family and his closest friends. This is Jimi's father, who I looked up in 2, maybe even 3 different interviews. And they were each at different ages in his life. And in each of those interviews, this man talked about his son with total love and admiration for the man he became. He even talked about buying Jimi his first found a ukulele on one of his odd jobs, and then later bought him his first acoustic guitar. In the film, though, you get the impression that Jimi and his dad did not get along at all, and nothing could be further from the truth. The reality is, Jimi had a lot of life to live, and by the time he had made it to London, his father was definitely shocked at his accomplishments, but even though the whole world he was in was totally new to him as a father, he still looked from afar in total awe of what his son had become. Then you take this relationship, which is the most important one in the whole film. Kathy, his closest girlfriend, who is a real life woman. I have to say real life because I later found out that some of the women in the film are not even real, but Kathy Etchingham is and was, I hope I say her last name right, is and will forever be known as one of his closest relationships. And she was with him through a lot of him writing some of his most famous songs and having different jam sessions and all these types of things. She also said in a few interviews that she was never the biggest fan of his music. She just knew him and loved the man, and that was it. She did not like the lifestyle that he was surrounded by that ultimately killed him with all the drug culture and everything, because she admitted that she saw all of that started to develop and she was not into that. And she also hated the fact that in the movie, she feels like they did not depict her or Jimmy as to how they were. Jimmy was a total gentle soul, as she said, and Jimmy would never have hit her like they made it seem in the movie. So I'm calling BS, y'all, because as you can see with this article title and the article, I'm showing you the article, about 2 articles I found that make it very clear. Kathy came out and made public statements that Jimi Hendrix never laid a hand on her. Ever. That was not him. But in the movie, they got him going upside her head with a damn payphone, splitting her cheek, giving her a black eye, wrestling her in an alley, like the most ridiculous shit. And I admit, when I saw the scenes, I got instantly frustrated, almost cut the movie off. And that's literally when I started doing my research to make this video, because I was like, no, not Jimmy. Hell no, not Jimmy. And I hate to say it, but it's like there's so many that have been those guys in R&B and in blues and all these other forms of music through all the ages. And so many great black artists that are tainted in my vision of them because, yes, James Brown did beat on his wives. Hate that of him. I can't stand the person when I hear more about what I knew they were about, but I love the music, right? Then I look and find out, oh, yep, really? Miles Davis? Yep. He went upside the head of Cicely Tyson when she was dating him. The list just keeps going on and on. So when you get yet another legendary black icon of music, and you're still trying to portray all black men as these savages who can't control their tempers and are always out to beat on their women and all this other stuff, add that up with the fact he, yes, was on drugs, man, how much worse could it be? But only to find out it's total bullshit. And I just hope this video and other folks speaking out against this, let it be known that was not him. That is not the energy. And most sad of it all is that Andre played a hell of a character that he was given to play. I don't think by any means that Dre would have done what I don't even know if he would have accepted the role had he known that any of this was not true. And I wouldn't even be surprised to find out that, because I know how weird Hollywood can be from being in it, he may not have even known he was going to have to do that scene until after he already took the contract and was already locked in, because sometimes they rewrite scripts while you're on set and give you a new scene you didn't expect to have to do. Oh yeah, that happens. So let's all just keep all these things in mind. Don't judge Dre. Don't judge the man Jimmy about some BS that is not even his life. And thanks to Kathy for coming out and putting the word straight about what it really was. And may everybody else who ever touched that man's life who can tell the truth continue to tell the truth, because we're going to keep rocking with Jimi Hendrix and respecting the real man and not the BS. And still salute to Dre for just showing more of his chops as an actor. But let's hope for better projects in the future and more true projects to his level of talent. Peace, y'all. ONYXCON.